Well, good morning and welcome back to Handlebars and Holidays on this very lovely and very, very warm Western Australian morning. We are out today on the Triumph Trident 660 to give it a bit of a spin and make our minds up what we think about it. So let's do it, shall we? Okay, so first things first, we'll just pull into my favourite little photo spot and have a bit of a walk around, show you what we're playing with today. Okay guys, so here we go. The Trident 660. Very nice machine. I've had the bike for probably about an hour up to now, yeah, it's a lovely little thing. I suppose when doing these reviews, you've maybe got to consider what bikes you ride on a day-to-day basis. So coming off a Rocket GT and an MT-09 SP, I've got to put that to the back of my mind, so to speak, and look at what this bike is and what it's intended for in a sense. So obviously by comparison, it's a much smaller, much lighter bike, and kind of built for different purpose, I suppose. As is always the case, I'm not really going to run through too much detail in terms of specs. That's all very, very, very available on Google. But I mean, the basics are we've got a 660cc. The bike produces 53 brake horsepower here in Australia. Now that's very interesting because a friend of mine has one of these bikes in the UK, and the UK version produces 80 brake horsepower, same engine. So this is detuned, basically, I'm told, to accommodate the LAMMS learner market in Australia. Triumph, in their infinite wisdom, have chosen not to make this bike available in Australia in the higher powered version. I'm not actually sure whether it's available in the lower powered version as an option in the UK, but certainly in the UK and maybe other countries as well, this is an 80 horsepower machine. But here we have 53 brake horsepower. So anyway, 59 newton meters of torque is the other interesting thing. Now, just on the ride here, when I looked at the specs of this bike shortly after collecting it, I was a bit surprised at that, because it actually it pulls very well for just 59 newton meters of torque. It's got a fair bit of pull, so I was quite impressed with that. Let's have a see, what else have we got? Tubular steel frame, blah 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 blah. I'm just looking at some of the specs now as I'm talking to you. So yeah, Nissan 2-piston calipers on the front, single piston on the back, 795mm seat height. Very, very, I mean, in terms of weight, we're looking at 189 kilos for this bike, so it's very, very light, very easy to manoeuvre on the drive, in the garage. It feels very stable underfoot. It's very confidence inspiring. As I touched on earlier, I'm coming off bigger, weightier bikes, so it feels incredibly controllable to me, and the sort of bike that is just a real nice nipping about in the traffic. I think it's going to really suit the sort of commuter market. And anyway, not really rode it enough yet to pass too much judgment, so we'll do that very shortly. But yeah, some really nice features. As far as the little bit of scaffolding thing on the back goes, I don't think that's too bad. It's a little bit reminiscent of my Rocket. The rear foot pegs are very much a bolt-on affair that can be easily debolted if you wish to ride this purely as a solo machine. And it's just got nice lines. It's nice. Showa front suspension, twin discs as you'd expect. But yeah, it's not missing anything. It's got a really nice clear dash, and yeah. So anyway, we're good to go. So let's have a little bit of a wander. So it is thanks to the guys at Cully's Motorcycles in Balcatta that we are out this morning on this very nice little machine. If you're in WA and looking to explore the Triumph or Yamaha range, please go see Sam at Cully's in Balcatta. He will look after you. So what have we got to say about the Triumph Trident? This is a nice little machine. I suspect very much that the way that it's been brought into the Australian market as a slightly lower powered and LAMMS approved bike, I would say it's aimed really I would say it's a direct competitor for the MT-07, which is very popular here, certainly as a learner bike. I'd have to admit I haven't ridden an MT-07. I've got the MT-09 SP. A good friend of mine has the MT-07. He loves it. He's just in the process of doing his open class license, and him and his wife both have MT-07s in actual fact, and they really rate the bikes. But I see this as being Triumph's stab at that market, and it's an interesting one. The thing that strikes me straight away, the gearbox again. Triumph's gearbox is very smooth. It's a very nice gearbox. I'd say the gearbox is actually a little bit better than my MT-09. Frustrating, but there it is. But yeah, a very nice bike. Pegs are just a tiny little bit higher than I am used to, but that's obviously just me. Having said that, within just a few minutes they feel very acceptable. You sit nice and upright on this bike. You can you feel like you can see everything you need to see. I'm not squashed down in any way. The visibility is good. When you're up in traffic, you can see nicely over the car in front, which is always a good thing. You're not struggling. I suppose at the end of the day, the Trident is built to a price. It's $12,800 and something in Australia, based on the website, Triumph's website price. So it's not out of the way, but it's not a cheap bike. In terms of equipment, obviously you've got ABS and traction control. They are switchable, but they're not cornering. They're not lean angle sensitive. So it's got all the safety features you require. It's not really overladen with other goodies. We don't have cruise control. So it's got more than it needs, shall we say. But I think this bike, at the end of the day, I think it is aimed at the learner market. The little ride I've had up to now, it comes across as being surprisingly zippy. It actually puts me in mind a little bit of my CBR 600 from many years ago. I don't know why. The position is very different, but the power delivery, the such like, although this is a triple, it shouldn't be anything like, but for some reason, I can't really say why, it kind of reminds me of my CBR 6. Handling wise, it's a very nice bike to handle. It's very lightweight, it's very chuckable. Excuse me. I spared you the bit on the freeway this morning, but sitting on 110 k's an hour, as you would expect, absolutely no issues at all. Very smooth, a very consistent wind. There's no screen, totally naked, so you know, it's exactly as you would expect. There's nothing particularly good or bad to say about freeway riding. It's just what you would expect, but it has got a fair bit of pep. You know, for 53 brake horsepower, even in this guise, it's got a fair bit of pep. It's quite surprising. So we've got nice tactile switch gear. There's no issues with the switch gear. No switches are in peculiar places, or there's nothing weird. Menus are relatively easily accessed through the four-way there. That's the main menu button. I'm not going to go through all the TFT screens. You've seen it all before. Essentially, you've got rain, road, modes. So you're not lacking anything. It's got all the usual trip functions and all that sort of stuff, but again, that's all Googleable. You don't really need me for that sort of stuff. I'm more interested in giving an overall sort of feel of what the bike is like to ride. That's the bit that doesn't come over in the specifications, I think. Mirrors are pretty good. Triumph have gone down the road of a lot of bar end mirrors, and this has got conventional mirrors, so it's true to say that I would say about a third. I don't know if you can make that out there from what the GoPro is giving you, but my arm is filling probably about a third of the mirror. Having said that, it's a good sized mirror, so the other 2/3 is giving me a good clear view of the lane on either side, so to speak. So mirrors are more than adequate. Absolutely no problems with the mirrors. The bar end mirrors, and I believe Triumph do a set of bar end mirrors for this bike. Possibly, especially if you like the look of them, although they're not necessary. If you like the look of them, they would possibly be a worthwhile investment. Engine tone is nice, it's quiet, it's not an unpleasant tone, but it's not particularly raspy. I've not had the opportunity to wind her up yet, but it's a quiet tone. There's nothing too unpleasant about it. Again, it's pretty much what you would expect. Okay, so we'll just do a little torque test. I like to do this. I'm in 5th gear, one down from top, doing 50 k's an hour, nice and steady, no problems. And let's see what 59 Newton meters of torque feels like now. There we go. So yeah, I don't think you can complain about that. That actually pulled very nicely. That was not bad at all. I think from the point of view of a commuter or a, you know, just urban, if you're doing a lot of urban riding, I think this bike would be a nice machine to own. Okay, I think we've got a nice clearish bit of road here. Let's see what sort of noise we can there's quite a nice engine tone there when you get up into the higher revs. A little bit of growl creeps in there. Yeah, the performance is for 53 brake horsepower and 59 Newton meters of torque. This is you could have a surprising bit of fun on this bike. So in a kind of summary, yeah, I think the Triumph Trident 660 is a lovely little bike. It's certainly, well, in my opinion, it would make a perfect little commuter, a little runabout, you know, whatever, urban machine, ideal for getting you through your test, without a shadow of a doubt. You know, this would be a very nice, confidence-inspiring, easy to manoeuvre, certainly take you through your test, and in that period where you have to have a bit lower powered machine. But you can also take it out on the weekend and have a little bit of fun. I don't think it would be fair to describe it as a fast bike, but it's certainly, for its capacity and its engine power, even at 53 horsepower, even at this lower end, you could still have some fun on it. For a relatively new motorcyclist, I'm confident that it would be certainly capable of scaring people. And I think in the 80 horsepower version, which I know they have in the UK, I'm not sure about other countries, that would put a really different slant on this bike. It's so light, it's so flickable, it's very manoeuvrable, you very much feel you're in control of it. To just have that extra 20 odd horsepower would surely make a massive difference. So depending on where you're watching this from, if you've got the option of the 80 horsepower version, which means you're not in Australia, certainly have a test ride without a shadow of a doubt. The only things I would say, looking at it from a personal point of view, I'd certainly put bar end mirrors on it. I think that would be a bonus. It's not necessary, but I'd certainly put bar end mirrors on. And the pegs are just a tiny bit high for me, but that's really only because I've got a dodgy left knee. I think if I was a few years younger and I didn't have a dodgy left knee, I wouldn't give it a second thought. Even then, to be honest, it's not bad at all. It's a nice position. It is a nice position. So yeah, nice bike. Another nice bike. Okay guys, so I'm basically going to be heading back to the shop now. I hope this has been of some use and beneficial to somebody. This is a lovely little bike. If you fancy borrowing this particular bike and you live in Western Australia, pop into Cully's in Balcatta and I'm sure they would be more than happy to accommodate you. So I'm hoping to get this video out before Christmas, so hopefully when you're watching this now, the big man hasn't already been and gone. But I'd like to wish all my subscribers and viewers a Merry Christmas and all the best for 2022. And if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. It is completely free. It just means that you can get back to the channel and where you left off much easier. If you want to hit the notification bell as well, you'll get notified when I put new vids up. And I have got a lot planned for the new year. We're currently waiting of quite a few new models coming in, and as soon as they do, I'll be out and about on them. So the best Christmas present you could give me would be to subscribe. That would be very nice. And all the best for 2022. Thank you once again for joining me at Handlebars and Holidays, and as ever, take care and ride safe.